I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics.
Mathematics, dude.
What's going on, everybody? As well as only proof of beard, only one. And Das Pound with us today.
What up?
We're gonna talk about good things because this is what we care about. And in this case, it's gonna be exactly how Hex works with respect to the inflation that the staker class receives day in, day out. Because we never actually talked about this before. I know I haven't, because I really don't even think about it much. To me, it's kind of, ABC 1, 2, 3. But it's interesting to look at. Once you actually sit down and look at the data, you realize all the value that you're receiving, and the simple fact that there's so much more value on the table. And it's crazy because you wouldn't even think so, but it's the case. So I got a new chart to look at. And that's going to be that chart that's going to help us have some type of understanding with respect to what is actually happening in the system, because it's interesting, right? Because we know how the system pays, right? Like the system does it does a math to pay out the inflation on a daily basis to the staker class. But the reality is that the inflation that it does pay is still subpar, or shall I say this, that given the value that's in the system, is still not able to fully pay out what's there to be had in terms of value. And that kind of doesn't make sense. But once we look at the data, you guys will see exactly what I mean, because it's weird, right? It kind of doesn't make sense, but that's the math. That's what the math is showing us. So we got to go with that. So let me pull the chart up. I'm just getting it into the little gallery here, and we will get this party started. How you guys doing today?
Well, our bearded friend just left us, so it's only the guy here.
Oh, is this you guy?
Doing
Oh,
fine. Yeah, he just left.
this guy.
I'm doing fine. Having a sip of tea.
Nice.
Fasting, second day. I'll do one more day. Third day tomorrow, and then a little bit low carb, some keto, and then back to gotta get ready for that London meetup.
Gotta get your bikini body right. That's too funny, man. That's a funny ass shit. Oh man, yeah. It's a nice Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Week is kind of flying by. Not mad at that because I don't like working, but we do what we must to survive. But having Hex stuff to do does help the days go, at least be pleasant. Because that's all we can, hope for, a pleasant day. So let's get this on the screen here and get this party
show us anticipation. Let's go.
So what is this yellow line? This yellow line is every single daily payout, or let me rephrase, actually. This is the minted inflation, which is the equivalent of what we see in terms of the daily payout from the system every day. but this is what's actually coming out into the market, right? Not what the system is actually paying the staker class. So this is a little different. This is the minted inflation, right? So everything that we're not accounting for here is basically being deferred to the future, or the value is still just on the table, right? Because this line is since big payday, post big payday, like the day after, or as soon as the minted inflation stopped becoming excessive and the circulating supply started becoming constant, and that's when we started taking the data. Das Bomb helped me, and it was what, like 5 days after big payday, I think we had to go, or eight
Day
days.
360, I
Yeah, so
think.
8 days, 7 days, 7 days
Yeah.
after. Yeah. So that's the when we started taking the data from.
And
So
just so for everybody to know, we chose this specific date and not the first 365, and we also cut off a few days more because the first days there was massive inflation due to how the AA worked. So we started at 0, and then we ramped up 1 billion in the first day, and then 500 million per day were distributed to anyone who was interested in HEX. So this time is not really worth counting for inflation or looking at the inflation because there is just massive and massive inflation. The same that happened in Bitcoin over the course of like the first 5 years or so. In the beginning, you just created millions of bitcoins just from mining on your normal laptop or PC or whatever. And this, when we went out of the way of doing that within 1 year instead of like 6 or 7 years in Bitcoin.
that's saying something, no?
Yeah.
That's
So
saying a
we
whole lot.
reduced the adoption phase into like a,
Compressed it.
yeah, we compressed it.
Yeah.
Real quick note, what other coin do you know that is able to have a new chart every week? It's not
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, well, the interesting thing about that is that that's just simply looking at the blockchain and realizing all the different ways that you can actually break down the data that the system is producing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if it wasn't on the chain, then you wouldn't be able to do it. So, you know,
Yep.
it's it's that simple, you know.
And it's more interesting. This
Yeah.
specific stat is more interesting because there is additional game theory happening on chain which
Hmm.
other coins don't have.
Correct.
It's kind of um, I don't know if no coin has it at all, but it's quite unique in general.
You know,
If a coin has it, it's not being done as much, I think.
well, I guess that's a good way of putting it, right? Because if they wanted to, every coin could become proof of stake and pay inflation because they all have some form of inflation.
I
But
mean, if someone in chat knows a coin that has something like this,
I
please
mean,
let
yeah,
me know.
I wouldn't know. I honestly wouldn't know.
No.
But the interesting thing again, right, is if you sit here and you break down how Hex works, while it's inflationary, it's really not, right? And the reason it's not is because you have to contend with the value of a T-share. The value of that T-share is what's determining the actual value of the inflation that you're going to receive as a staker from the system, right? Because the whole objective of being a staker is to earn money and do nothing to earn that, right? You're just allocating capital to the system and providing proof of stake services to the network, and that's it. That's the whole point of being a staker.
Mm-hmm.
So when the system is paying out its inflation, it pays it out daily, right? Because that's the way the system is designed. So over time, what happens is there's a fixed rate that the system is designed to pay out. Now the launch phase is over, it's ended, you can presume to at least take into account. what is the value that is there left to attain? Because when you sit there and you break down the daily math, because the way the system pays out is,
Excuse me,
go ahead.
Wales. For everybody at home, so they can visualize it better. Can you bring up the chart for how the system works? I think you showed it in the past, where you see the inflation according to how many stakers there are. It's not one of your charts. It's
Which one?
wait, I'll forward it to you in Telegram real quick.
Wait,
Okay.
there's a chart that's not Wales's. Scam.
It just explains and shows inflation and then amount of stakes, staker percent. You might have it. Just a moment.
Yeah, no problem.
And your Telegram is showing in the stream. Watch out with that.
Yeah, I took it off. But yeah, so if you look at this chart, right, this chart is a good explanation, right? At least it helps explain the point. The staker class is comprised of 10% basically of all the coins that exist in the system, right?
I sent you the chart.
Cool, got it. Ah, I got that one. Yeah. It's not mine, but yeah, I got it. Boom.
Yes, there it is.
Ah, yeah.
All is well, Marco. Standard chart, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now we're basically here, right? 10% staked.
Yeah.
So the APY is in line with this level, right around 36.9. And when we go back to that chart, that's what we're seeing, right? 36.9. Take that 17% out of that equation is going to yank down that APY a little bit. That's what's happening because it's not at 10%, right? So why is it below 36.9? Well, that has to be why. Because it's just a linear equation. There's only but so many inputs that you can deduct from in order to get this number. So, and of course, this is taking into account Mercian stakes, right? So it's actually higher than it would even be taking that out of the equation.
And note that this line is very slightly sloping down, which means adoption is increasing, or not adoption, but there is more stakers in the system, staking out for longer.
Yeah. I mean, so it's two things. It's people staking out shares for longer, which of course is increasing the T share count, right? Because that's ultimately what's happening. Because it's like the T shares are like a magnet for the APY and the price, right? And it's just a function of how, right? For price, it's through the mechanism of the T share rate via the cost of 10,000 hex. And for the APY, it's via the percentage of coins staked plus the emergency stakes. You see, so the T share is always there to actually keep things in line. It's like that. It's like that. It's like that volatility suppressor to a certain extent, because it doesn't really allow the system to go out of whack too much.
Yeah, it always keeps it in line. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I just sometimes look at different scenarios and then I'm like, but T-shares are always there to save us. They always back the system. It's pretty cool.
Pretty much.
That's why it's such a great invention.
It is, man. Because you know, we're out here trying to make money, right? And it's not hard to do.
I'm here for the tech, man.
Yeah. And it's not hard to do if you know how the sausage is made. And that's the hard part, right? The hard part is how the sausage is made. So give me a second, guys. I got to do some more crap.
No worries.
But yeah, once you can figure out, like, oh God, come on, hold on.
Who else is getting?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine to deal with your stuff. Proof of beard, Markable. Did you read? There is someone asking if you're Dutch in the chat.
Well, it's
DV,
none of
a
your
little bit.
business, bro.
Bring him in line.
Figure it out.
You should be able to know where he's from if you watched enough live streams.
Yeah,
Wake Up Hex. Check it out. Wake Up Hex on Discord Syndicate. Booyah.
Let's see. Anyone in chat that makes sense? Let's see. Who woke up the beard man?
Can you do you have admin rights? Can you
No.
show?
No, I wish.
Messages here? No, you can't. Okay,
no,
so sorry guys, we can't highlight them, but we can talk to you.
Sorry.
Do you have your tickets? Yes, I have one.
Who said that?
A little bit further up. Who's going to London?
Yeah, get tickets, people. It's gonna be really cool.
I don't even know if there is any left. So yesterday when I checked, there was like 30 left.
Yeah, but that was yesterday. Today there's 400.
Oh yeah, right. There is today. Today we got the new batch. I forgot about that.
It got sold out yesterday. That's what I know. And the I think the premium the VIP stuff that got sold out as well yesterday. And I got a message from someone saying that people were talking about that it's that the event is a cash grab. Are you retarded?
What?
Like some people, the moment you need to, the moment there's money involved when people have to buy something, there's some people that will probably lose in life. They start to talk about that people are taking advantage of them. First of all, you don't have to buy a ticket. And second of all, there are way better ways to earn more money than an event. If you really do research on events are not profitable at all.
No, they suck.
And if you look at the,
especially if it's close to the public,
it also depends on what's going to happen at the event. But knowing Richard, it's going to be pretty cool. And if you look at the price, it's pretty fucking cheap, man.
I mean, by the way, it's a non-profit event. It's, the people who are organizing that, which is also in part Kinetics team, they are, so the guy who is managing Discord Syndicate and who is doing the Wake Up Hex and who did the video just explaining how it's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to be there, and had the interview with Brand. Did I say his name correctly this time? Brand? Grant. So bad with names, sorry.
Don't get it wrong the third time, man. Otherwise, I will fire your ass.
Just watch the interview. The last Wake Up Hex.
Yeah, but even people that saw the interview,
they
stop hating. Be on Team Win.
And, yeah, exactly. You can't be part of Team Win if you keep on whining about losing.
You know, it's funny. People don't understand that it takes traction to make action, right? You got to realize in order to put an event up, right, you got to pay for the venue, right? Like, it's not free. So if it's not free for the people putting it together, it cannot be free for those persons that are attending. That literally makes zero sense. So being able to recoup your costs should not be a crime. Just wake up. And let's pull out
basically,
also, if you're a person that whines immediately when there's a price tag, you kind of have the wrong attitude, man. To be, you will not be rich. Or if you're gonna get rich, you're gonna be poor real quick.
Yep.
Basically, everybody who's going to that party is paying for the party to have a good time there for themselves.
Pretty much.
And
if I host a party at my place, I have to pay money. I have to buy shit.
We're getting off topic, by the way. Are you back completely, Wales?
What do you mean am I back? Yeah.
Well done, those moms. Let's get this train on.
I mean, people have to understand that, though, right? People have to understand very basic things, like what are you trying to do earning money if you don't know that? So you might want to recalibrate what you're even doing watching any of these streams.
Well, at least they watch the streams.
Well, they're not learning anything if they think there's something wrong with charging to break even.
Yeah.
Nobody should be taking losses unnecessarily. I mean, what the fuck?
Hexwood is asking, where can you get a ticket? Does someone have the link?
It's HEX.731gathering.com.
All right. Well, there you go.
Can you paste it in chat or?
Yeah, I'm
I'm gonna
looking for a
paste it.
link right now.
No, I can't. I can't.
No,
I
you
guess you
can't.
have security set up.
Nah,
Yeah.
it's just because you're not a mod on this
Yeah.
thing. Well, I would have to make you a mod, and I just forget about that.
Oh, someone managed. Excellence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellence. Much appreciated. But I threw it in there all late. But,
Perfect.
there it is. There it is. But yeah, so right now we understand what the system is actually doing. Hold on. Am I going the right way? Yeah. So when we're looking at this, right, this is 300 and 360. What was yesterday? 702.
701.
Yeah.
701.
So 240 days or whatever. I don't know. However many days.
341 days.
341. There you go. So this yellow line is tabulating up through yesterday. So up through yesterday, we've only just surpassed 1.57% inflation paid out to the Staker class. Right now, this gray line is letting us know how much value there's left to be had in the system before we actually reach 3.69, which is the max. Right. So that's two.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting you every time.
No. Go ahead.
Noteworthy. Is that a log chart? It is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Scale.
Yeah. So the 2% is much bigger than it looks like on this chart. So
yeah,
be careful of that.
Yeah, because we're going from zero. Well, yeah, I guess. Hold on, let me see something. To me, it makes sense, but to everybody, it might not.
Copy paste. Second chart.
Nah.
Just
gonna take the
What are you gonna
off
do?
and see what it looks like. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can. Oh, damn it! Hold on. Yeah, nah. Okay.
Yeah, most brains don't conceive the world in log scale. So
yeah.
Oh no.
No.
No. Strange.
That's the story. I don't know why, but it's hard for me to believe. So this is what it looks like in normal in linear scale. So yeah, it is much bigger, right? And the fact is, it's 55% bigger. So that's how much value is left to be had before we even reach the maximum payout level that the system could achieve. How crazy is that? Because this is what the system is paying out every day.
Yeah.
In hex terms, right?
And this is what we're pushing out into the future for
the blue line.
2, 3, 5, 15 years.
The blue line is through the first year. This is finishing off the remaining 365 days for the first inflationary cycle for hex, and it's only going to reach 1.63%, which is 2.06 below.
Please note the blue line is an estimate on the average from the last 341 days.
Yeah, which is like
so
20,
that's an estimate.
Yes, it's like 20 basis points a day or something like that. 0.2%.
0.0019 was the
yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that's what it looks like on a linear scale. This is a log scale. But either way, right, the whole objective is to show the 55, 56% value that's left to be had before we even reach full maximum payout level. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, why isn't the system reaching that? Is it because there's just not enough network effect going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting thing to take into consideration.
What do you mean? Why it's not getting to
3.69? Yeah.
Well, it's because everyone's pushing it ahead. That's the only reason, right? Because people are staking for longer.
I don't know.
No?
Is it just that?
Okay, so how would you think would we reach 3.69% in 1 year? How would that look like for you, Wales? Because I don't think that would happen.
The values would just be higher, right? Because this is the minted inflation. So this number is minted inflation divided by the sum of circulating supply plus the stake supply. Should I not be taking the stake supply into account? I think I should, because that's the total supply.
Yeah, that's total supply. That's correct. No, that's correct. Because the creating the inflation is on the total supply. That's including all coins.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what that 55% remainder in value is representing. Is that the reason why Hex doubles so much? Because the system is 55% undervalued? Interesting thought.
So there is an interesting commentary about that.
Maybe.
Somebody's saying we need 100% stakes. I don't think you want that.
Yeah, I don't.
You
Maybe
don't
at some
want
point,
that.
but give me
I don't
give
think
me
so.
At
first a
least
better
not now.
APY, man.
Maybe,
No,
maybe in
not right
50
now.
years you want
I
that, but
don't
not now.
think so, because it doesn't seem to me that the percentage staked is proportional to the delta that we're seeing in the value that's left to be had, because that would mean then that the inflation paid out would only be equivalent to 10% of the value, right? And it's clearly 50%, almost 50% of that, and not 10% of that. So I don't think that's true. Am I making sense? Like, instead of it being
No.
1.63%, it should be 0.369, because we only have 10% of the supply staked.
I can follow.
All right. So
You wanted
No, that doesn't make any sense.
0.369. No, that's
if what I'm saying is, if we needed 100% of the supply staked, then this inflation rate would only be at 10% of the max. Because we
no.
only
The inflation rate will always stay the same. The APY for people changes.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Because if he's trying to, what I'm saying is, if 3.69 was predicated on the staking supply, which it is not,
Yeah.
right? Then instead of this being at 1.63, it would be at 0.369, because that's
Yeah.
10%.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
That's what I've been trying to say. So it's clear it can't be that. Yeah, it can't be that. But I get why you would think that. I get why you would think that, but it can't
So
be
would
that.
you think, as the amount of staked coins percentage goes up, actual inflation goes down?
This is always going to go up, because this is cumulative. This is what the system is doing daily.
Yeah. So there are two ways to display that. Right now, we just want to display it for 1 year to showcase that within 1 year, the actual inflation is currently less than the maximum possible inflation. And what you would do is you would reset it at day 365 after the first measure. So what is that? 360
Yeah,
plus
that's what I'm
365. So
saying.
at day 725, you would just reset it to 0 and then start to count again.
Start
But you
over
can do
again.
that from any day that you want.
Yeah.
We just want to showcase, like, over the span of 1 year, how much we get.
Yeah, but we chose the days after Big Payday because that's what made sense.
Yeah.
To start with the beginning of the system and its true natural inflation and all that good stuff.
What I'm saying is that, let's say in 10 years, you got, let's say in 10 years.
No,
you
I know
got
what you're saying.
100%
You're saying
stake.
that maybe that 55% is inflation that's going to come out in 10 years or whatever. I get what you're saying. I'm not sure that's the case.
Yeah, but so let's say we're 10 years ahead,
Hold on.
and then people understand the system.
Hold on, because I think you might be onto something. Let's think about this backwards. This is minted inflation. No, let's reverse engineer, because I think you're
I
right.
like it.
Let's reverse engineer, because I think you're right.
Yeah,
This is
I
minted
just love
inflation.
your thought process. Everyone would think, okay, let's talk about it, and you're like, let's talk about it backwards.
Well, it's true, right? Because in order
Yeah,
to
it makes
find the
sense.
answer, you got to know where the output is coming from.
Yeah.
So this is minted inflation, which is a function of the daily APY.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, no,
No.
false. that's a function of the stakes that are ending.
Yes,
Yeah.
So yeah.
which are end staked or emergency end staked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're
and
right. Markable is what I'm saying.
So yeah,
quick
so
shout
actual
out
inflation
to the
might go
chat.
down as amount of staked coins goes up.
Go ahead. That's bomb. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Quick shout out for understanding purpose. 100 stake API goes to 0. It's not going to 0.
No, it's going
If
three,
if
four, or whatever.
100% are staking, you are getting 3.69 APY,
Right. But that's
and
not
you are
even
you are,
And
you
achievable
are
if
anymore.
getting
AP
that. Yeah.
and if actual
So or
APY
everybody would,
or
the
if
staker class would get.
actual
Right.
inflation is lower than 3.69, you would still have some APY. Because I think he says 0 because your APY would be 3.69 and inflation would be 3.69. But apparently, actual inflation is lower than 3.69.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because people are still staked. If
And
100% of people were staked for 5 years, then it would take 5 years to actually create that API, and in turn, it
yeah,
would take 5 years to create the inflation. Everything is just pushed out
so
Pushed
until
out.
5 years,
Right.
further.
you can get some APY out of it,
Right.
and that would
Right.
do good for the price. That's dude. We found another layer in this whole system. That's
Yep.
dope.
I have another one actually.
And
Let's talk about it. Let's
I have
talk about it.
another one.
let's
Yeah,
talk
because
about it backwards.
if it wouldn't have been for you, I wouldn't have made this chart. So yeah.
Did you finish your thoughts? You were done,
I mean, yeah.
or
So
do you want to
this
add
has to be
something?
deferred inflation, basically, is what I'm thinking, because that means that 55% of the inflation up to now has been pushed into the future because it hasn't been
Yes,
pushed out by the
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
yes. It would be it would be really cool to see this weighted, like how much, but that's super
Yeah, you would
difficult to
need to like
you
calculate.
can
It's
break
like
down the
subscribe.
stakes.
yeah, it's
You can subscribe to Will's Only's paid membership to get that chart.
Yeah, right.
actually now that you I should poke Gamesys about this, because he said he's looking for things that he can visualize. That would be something for him.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I'm
I'm
trying
gonna I'm gonna
to
tell him real quick.
see if I can get transactional level data, sales and buys, so we can actually visualize what price is doing when buys and sales are at extremes, or at extremes in any which way, up, down, whatever the case may be, because
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting for people to see for a pure market, right? Because Hex is a pure market.
Hmm.
You have people actually buying and selling that want to actually buy and sell. So it's a market where people take action with intention, which is not something you're going to typically find on this planet, right? And this is why we can sit here and look at things like inflation, right? And talk about it, because we understand that we own something that is giving us this, right? So a lot of people have always been calling it trustless interest, when in reality it's trustless inflation, right? Trustless yield, because this is the yield that the system is providing, right? Because
Yeah.
here's a fact that we just dissected live, right? And Markable clearly already had it figured out. I just hadn't really thought about it since we talked about it
That's
yesterday.
fuck yes.
It's true,
Let's
right?
go. Figured
Yeah,
something out before Will's.
it's true, right?
New
So
achievement unlocked.
yeah.
Nice.
So the system is pushing out inflation because this is inflation, right? Divided by the sum of circulating supply plus the stake supply, right? So,
Can you
uh,
repeat that? Those bounds, Mike, messed you up a little bit.
Sorry.
no worries, no worries. So what we're looking at is the reality of what the system is doing in real time. Every time that people and stakes, right? Like that's really what we're looking at. So this is like the real inflation that the system is emitting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an actual inflation barometer, right? So what this means is that this is all the inflation that the system's actually putting out right now, and all that inflation that the system isn't putting out is deferred to the future. but we can see in real time how much of that inflation is deferred out, right? In terms of what we're looking at right now. So, for example, we're looking at the inflation based on, or the future inflation, like this value for a 1 year APY right now, 1.63. That's based on the remainder of what we've remainder of what's left in this calendar year that we started on day 360, and that average is based on that, right? Because we're taking it from the data. And the thing is when you actually look at the calculation happen in real time, it typically is around that value. So the odds of it finishing here at this point after 340 plus data points are very high, right? It might deviate one or two uh tenths of a basis points or whatever, right? But that's about it. Like it's not going to deviate a whole percentage point or a whole basis point even. It might,
Mm-hmm.
move a little bit over here, but that's it. Unless something crazy happens and like somebody prints a big end stake and they actually sell a ton of it or whatever, right? Or they don't restake it or whatever the case is. But besides that, this should probably just stay in line.
I would say the chances of it staying stable and doing what the estimate is very high, because we know that 70% plus of user hex are staked.
Right.
So a big chunk of the system is staked, and they usually, the participants of a system like Hex, they want to do what's best for them and for the system.
Right.
You
That's
do not
what makes
usually
sense.
you do not want to emergency end stake and
I do it every day, man.
fuck
Feels
yourself
good.
over. So
First thing I do in the morning, and my stakes.
Yeah, yes, fuck it.
Fuck it.
just randomly.
Every time I do it, I'm like, I paid hexagons today. My day is great.
Thanks, Matty, for the shout out. There is an important point in that Twitter post.
Yeah, pull up that
the hex
the
inflation,
tweet.
the
Wales, can you do that?
55%.
Huh?
I put
Those
the link in the private chat. Can you
Ah,
pull it up if you want?
hold on. I don't think I
it's
can
just
grab
the
it.
numbers that we already have. It's fine. We have
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, it's what you see on
Right.
screen.
Cool.
But the important part is that inflation is pushed out into the future, and it's also in strong hands, because those people are the ones that believe into the system and are using the system as it is designed.
Correct.
You are taking a little bit out. You're not damaging the system, and 70% of the people are on board with that. That's a really high margin.
Right. It's extremely high. I mean, well, actually, I have a chart for that. Hold on.
Of course you do.
So this is what I call the retention value, right? So it's a current stakers versus total stakers. So the in my head, if you staked once and you stake again, that means you're still a current staker and you're no longer counted in that total staker, right? Because total, the difference should be the people that have left the system between current and total. So I look at this as like a retention value. So maybe it's 80% and not even 70. Here we go. Right. And that's why the inflation is relatively low versus what the system is actually emitting.
Yeah, your number is higher. So the retention number is higher than the amount of stake, because of all the rolling guys.
Right.
Because the rollers, they are just constantly restaking. They have the shorter term stakes, but because they keep restaking and restaking and restaking, they up that number a little bit. So yeah, they're using the system in the same way, and they have high confidence in the system. But it's a little bit less high confidence than the guy who is pushing it out for 15 years and doesn't care about it at all.
Yeah,
it's still. Yeah, say again. Okay.
They have a pussy mentality.
It's fine. Everybody has a different strategy. Because there are
Everyone has
people. No,
a
that also showcases the people that have different mentality. There are
yeah,
people
yeah,
that say, I need the protection. I only want to be in it for 1 month, but I just keep restaking because I
Dude,
don't know if I'll need the money or not. Or maybe I'm, I don't know, 80 years old
yeah.
and I only want to stake for 1 month. I get
Or
out my like
or I
2,
have
3, 4,
I
5%.
want at least one pump. That's
or
it.
Yeah.
dude, or
And then there is the
I
other
have
guy.
$30 million and I stake it for a month and I can get like 300K.
Right. That also
Yeah,
works
of
too.
course. Yeah.
That's every time I see that on Twitter, I'm like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah, man. Me too. I'm not gonna lie. Like I like my 15-year stakes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
damn, it'd be nice to already be there.
Like there would be a solid dopamine rush, man. If you end your stake and you get 300K in interest, that's dope.
Yeah, try to get that at your bank.
Yeah, try. Yeah, true.
Good luck
So,
with that shit.
there is one interesting point I would like to bring up.
Finally.
When you stake, you're pushing it out into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount that you capture is what's that really doing is it keeps the purchasing power that you have alive. I don't, like, on the top of my head, I don't know if there is any other instrument, maybe bonds. Wales, maybe you can pitch into that one. Can bonds keep up your purchasing power? But I personally don't know
No,
any other even
no.
crypto that works like this in a serious way, and which is decentralized and no admin keys and so on. Like, is there any instrument at all in the financial system that, well, hard assets like houses maybe, but even then you have
Not in
all
that
the
way.
overhead, you have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's not clean.
There is taxes when you sell, so it's kind of a hard game to play.
Yeah,
But
it's not clean.
in this system, if you keep your purchasing power alive in a decentralized way where you have the full control, you're not limited by having to give your money away to somebody. This is worth a lot.
Yeah.
If you compare it to the traditional financial system where you go into the dollar, into the euro, into the pound over the course of like 100, 200, even the last 50 years or so, your purchasing power is greatly reduced due to the inflation that happened.
Yep.
If
100%.
you just kept your money in a bank account over the span of like 50 years or so, your money is basically worthless because it went up in
Yeah.
that time, like, I don't know, tenfold or something.
Hmm.
So the 80s were also especially hard.
Yep.
I had a chart about this
As soon
somewhere.
as they let credit become a thing,
Yeah.
as soon
Where
as they
was
let
it?
credit become a thing, I've talked about this before, and I got charts we can look at for that.
Yeah, so 1980s inflation 26. Is that
Damn.
percent? I hope on this one. United States 11%. So that's harsh.
Very. Let me find this chart real quick.
I mean, in the housing market, we're above that.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, man. Yesterday, it was released by Zillow that they will no longer be providing prices for flipping services, home flipping. If you're not familiar with what home flipping is, that's basically trading real estate. That's really the best way to put it. Because that's basically what people are trying to do. They're trying to buy a home at a subpar value that they can hopefully fix up or not, right? It depends what the person is aiming to do. and then in the hopes of capturing some upside value in whatever improvements that they can lay into the home at the lowest possible cost to therefore generate the highest possible value. And it's just not working anymore apparently. So
Because the
Zillow has
margins are too low? Or what?
no, because
No.
they've just been racking up losses, my man.
Oh,
Not even the margins. That's what's funny. It's not even margins. It's just that they're racking up losses because people want to act like things are okay economically, but they're not, and they haven't been since 2006 at least. And guess what? It's fucking 15 years later. So when things accrue, you know, and the bill becomes due, things start happening whether you want them to or not. And that's just one of those things that we're gonna see happen. And there's nothing that anybody's gonna be able to do about it because the money is just now worthless, right? So this goes back to the question you were asking, Das. Is there anything out there that's like this,
No.
like Hex? And the answer is simply no. Because everything else is priced in fiat, right? So even if you own anything that is remotely like Hex, right? Because the fact is that the monetary system, Hex is designed behind around the monetary system. It's not designed around anything else. So it's literally designed to replicate what already exists, right? It just has a specific function. And here we go, 1980s, right? When you look at 1980s, you'll see the credit exploded, right? That's really what happened here. It exploded. Like after this point in time, it literally just went parabolic. Like it was in an uptrend here, sure, but after 83, up and to the right for real. Like, shoot, right? And if we put this in, hold on, I forget this thing sucks. Go ahead.
was that the bubble where it went down for a little? That was the
Yeah.
2008. That was the yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And then it
So
just kept going. I like it's like nothing was fixed.
nothing
Nope.
was
Keeps going.
fixed. We're gonna keep going. But again, this is a function. This is what I was gonna get to.
Okay.
Basically, is that no matter what you do, even if it's priced in dollars, right? And this is something I try to help people understand, but I know it's a difficult concept. Even if something is priced in dollars, the reality is that that asset is a depreciating asset as well because it's priced in a currency that sucks. So you're not actually helping yourself by owning a high performing asset that is priced in crap, right? Because you're still losing. Now, that doesn't mean you don't transfer some of that value to use economically, but the reality is a reality. So what am I saying? Let's say you make any trade and that trade does a 10x, right? But that trade isn't in a crypto; it's in something like a house, right? Now 10x on a house is almost unheard of, right? It's unfathomable. That's something that is not
I think
normal.
you usually get like 15-20%
That's it.
if you're really good.
If
Be right back, guys.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
if
then it's actually work that you put in. You're not flipping the house just by holding it. You actually you buy the property, you have to scout it, you have to put in time, you have to deal with all the government bullshit, like
hmm
the rules, regulations, and so on. Then you have to, if it's in bad shape, you have to renovate it. You have to deal with logistics. You have to hire people to do that if you're not doing it yourself, depending on how big the project is.
right,
So is it a 2-man job? Is it a 5-man job? Is it like a big hall? Is it an apartment complex with 200 apartments? Like
yeah,
it scales up and it gets
complex.
just so much more horrible.
hmm
And then basically it's what you put into that you're gonna get out as a reward plus a little bit of gain of just the sell, just the flip. But most of the value that you capture is the money that you put in and the time.
Yep. And you got to try to capture that back somehow or recoup that somehow,
Yeah.
right? And that's the whole thing, right? I mean, So look at what this chart is saying, right? And let's think about this clearly now, uh, because it's kind of crazy when you sit here and think about it. This is total consumer credit, owned and securitized. Now let's read what this is. Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but figured they'd at least have some explanation here. But nope. So that's pretty much what it is, right? It's just credit, consumer credit. um, so let's see what are they right here. Let's see if they give us anything. Nope, just some numbers. Credit extended to individuals, excluding loans secured by real estate. So now you know it's just credit, right? Like credit cards, credit, all other kinds of credit here that they're tracking. Revolving, non-revolving, but it's just not secured by real estate. So it's all different types of credits: car financing, student loans, personal loans, credit cards, new car loans, right? So it's literally covering the whole gamut of what is considered credit, right? And here's another way of looking at it: depository institutions, who the holders are, right? Who the credit
Does it
providers are. Go ahead.
say at what interest rate this
No,
is gone
no,
given
this is
out?
just dollar value, just dollar value, and this is trillions.
No,
So
billions. Oh wait, no, seasonally adjusted billions of
billions
dollars.
of dollars. So comma means
Is it
trillions again.
trillions?
hmm
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
And this is where we're actually at. This is 2016. I'm sorry. This is the actual current. So yeah, it's crazy. Um, but this is the kind of stuff you gotta look at to really see if an economy is healthy or not, especially if the data is available. How is a consumer doing? Because especially if it's a consumer-driven economy, right? So what does that mean? Well, what that means is it if the GDP produced by that economy is 60, or I'm sorry, is driven by the consumer, meaning that the GDP is primarily driven by consumption, the consumer's consumption habit, then that is a consumer-driven economy. That's it. Meaning it doesn't matter what the government does, it doesn't matter what anything anybody else does. The only thing that matters is what the consumer does. If the consumer isn't healthy and spending, then that economy is going to be classified to not be growing. And that's how that's viewed, right? So when you have this as the reality, this becomes a pretty important metric, right? Because credit owned is a function of, as you just saw, the credit that's extended to people, which is a function of what they're spending on top of their disposable income, on top of the bills they're already paying, right? Because those are two layers you can't obfuscate. You have to account for them one way or the other, because that is the foundation of every person on this planet. You can't escape that. So that's
That's
why we
specific. By the way, that's specifically to US, right?
this data metric, yeah,
Areas indicate US.
yeah.
Shaded areas indicate. Oh, okay,
This
no.
is U.S.
So,
recessions.
but yeah, okay. So it's for you, the US,
Yeah,
and in that time, 45 and onwards plus, there was a giant productiveness in the US. There was
right.
expansion, there was new businesses created.
hmm
The working class was
This is World War
really
II
the
time frame.
rich
Yeah.
people in that
This
time. They were upcoming at that time.
yeah, this was after World War II, so everybody was coming back from being overseas forever, right? They were overseas at least 2 3 years. A lot of people, and when they came back, the government backstopped a lot of this stuff. So they did it by extending credit to people, allowing service members to start up businesses, allowing them to go back to college, allowing them to do this, allowing them to do that, allowing companies to borrow money to start their businesses back up. Yeah, because again, it was millions of people that went. It wasn't like 2003 or whatever, right? Like it was millions of people that went to this war. A nation was having its goods rationed, like the whole globe for the most part. So when everything came back in line, this makes sense. And then on top of that, the population was, maybe an eighth of what it is now. So you have this constant population growth, which with a natural yet growing
That
increase.
much?
Yeah.
Oh, that's surprising me. 1/8, really? What?
Let's check population.
Wow, I did not know that.
US, 1945. Let's see.
It would be a lot less.
Oh, so it's a third. Okay, not too much. All right, I was off by a lot. I was thinking the global population, but that's cool. So 140 divided by, or 139 divided by, what's 330 right now? So 42%. So basically, we're 60% bigger. 60, or yeah, we're basically 60% bigger, just rounding up, right? Because we've grown from 139 to 230.
330.
Yeah, so that's 191 divided by 139. So there you go, 137%. Or let me subtract the one. Sorry. There you go. Is that right?
What are you trying to calculate right now? The percent gain
What was that number?
from 139 to 330?
330. Yeah, that is not 191. Damn. That's pretty crazy. So the population has grown 1.37x.
Yeah, more than doubled.
Yeah. And taking that into account,
Hex doubles so a lot quicker though.
of course. But look at how the debt has continued to grow consistently. The credit has continued to grow consistently over time, and it was only negative during this point in time, and it was only negative here. So it only goes to zero when there's an economic stress in the system that's that bad, right? Like before that, not even Vietnam brought that shit down. Like that shit was always positive.
Question for the chat: would you invest in a company that always has debt?
Well, that's what
This
most
much?
people do when they buy
Oh,
stock.
that's actually true.
Amazon is doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon is
No,
constantly investing
when I
into the
said it, I
future.
thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a strange.
So
I mean, if you have a good foundation, then that can be good. If you're making it work. The problem is
Yeah.
that is not secured. That is high risk. That I don't know. People buying pizza in for
with a credit card.
yes. Like why? Why would you do that? I mean, I don't know. Some people have it maybe really tough, but
I
Don't
mean, they
order
can't have it
pizza
that
at
seems
tough if they
silly.
can get a
Seems silly to me.
credit
I
card.
never took on personal debt in my life. Like, and it's not something people should be doing on a daily basis for small things.
I agree.
For a business, it's I think something different.
I do it every day for customers.
Like for Amazon, and then you still have to make it work. But unsecured debt, that's high risk. Just kills you, man.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I remember. So when I was in the military, I'm from New York. I had to come back and move from overseas to Georgia. And it's not like they're out here giving you cars just because you're in the service. You got to go buy one your damn self, right? So I had to go do that. And with that, um, I had to borrow in order to get a car, but I didn't have any money to put down because I had just got back. Like my life was crazy at the time. I didn't have money to put down, basically, and that was pretty much that. Um, and I had to borrow all that money, right? So with that, I ended up borrowing all the money needed to get the car. I was lucky enough to be able to do that because my credit was good enough at the time, but I had to pay like 2 G's extra on top of what the car cost me over time, of course. So, not a good move, right? because it cost me 30 or 20% more than what it should have cost.
Yeah.
The question is, can you be more productive with the car and create that value? That's always the question. If you're taking on the debt, if you're taking on the loan and you cannot provide that additional value, then it's a bad investment.
Yeah, it's
But
a problem.
if you can capture more value, then you come out ahead.
Right. And that's the thing, right? So when you're looking at this is a system that's designed to extend your lack of income. This is what credit is designed to do, right? So let's take a look at real income.
And from the charts that I saw, the working class, the blue collar guys, they oh wait, did I say that right? Is
Yeah,
it called blue or gray? Blue?
blue collar,
The worker class? Yeah, blue collar. Okay,
middle
thank you.
class. Yeah.
Their their payment did not increase along with inflation. It
Oh
didn't.
no, never does.
So there is an interesting comment in the chat about what we talked about earlier in the by Vibra Finance CEO. I was in a commercial real estate for 10 years. The landlords I know are being screwed over by not being able to kick out non-rent payers. 51% of
Yeah.
restaurants paid rent last month. It's so bad.
Yep. New York
Damn,
is
that low.
especially, yeah, New York is
Do we?
especially bad.
Also, guys, real quick, where I live, all of a sudden there are no employees anymore.
Yeah, that's a
They
worldwide
have
issue right
just
now.
gone. Like,
Hmm.
where have all the employees gone? Have
That's a
you
good
any
question.
idea what
No,
this?
I don't know.
Because I heard this story of a Burger King that had like 200 employees before COVID, and now they can't open up full time because they only have 25 and they can't find more. And it's like, what's happening? Where did all the people go? I have no explanation for it.
I don't know, man. Maybe
Because
they're collecting too much money from the government to care to work.
yeah, but it's not like that much
That's
money.
that's literally the only thing I can think of. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like no one I gave this issue to has had an answer to for me. Like no one can figure out where the people went.
I have no
Like
idea. Depends
that.
on also state to state, right?
Hmm.
Country to country. I mean,
Well,
not state
probably,
to
yeah.
state.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for you guys.
I mean, it's all the same. Every jurisdiction seems to be having a similar issue
Yeah.
where they can't, like, these businesses apparently can't find enough employees, and it's like, well, where the hell all the people go, and why are they not here? Because I'm still here. Why did not leave too?
It's kind of the answer to if a universal income is a good idea.
Right.
I'm not sure.
But what is that a function of? Is that a function of them really not being there, or is it that just people don't want the job? Because if the job is
I'm
paying
not entirely
under
sure.
the minimum wage, and if you can't live with it, then you wouldn't take the job, right?
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, true.
I
Yeah,
mean,
It's just
maybe
that
it's also
inflation.
because people find their values finally, but
No?
I don't know. But it's an interesting thing to keep track of, or to at least keep on the radar. Interesting development.
It sucks investing time to get a job, then government shut down a week after being hired, then let go.
yeah. I mean, there's so many,
True.
so many variables to why that happens.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if you're a person, how long can you stick around and not make any income? Just because some random person feels like some business shouldn't be open. Because
Hmm.
when you sit here and look at the big picture, it was only some businesses that weren't allowed to be open. Not all businesses. Because some businesses were allowed to be open. The big chain stores that were allowed to be open.
Yeah, yeah,
Target,
true.
Walmart, all the stores was always open. They never closed. It was just your local business that could not be open.
Hmm.
So something for people to take into account. But again, right, when you sit here and you look at this real disposable income, look at the scale. The scale here is showing you, you know what? I should throw both these motherfuckers on the same chart. Hold
While you do that, Dan F
on.
is saying, is hex inflation effectively more than 3.69% since the OA holds around 90% of the float but does not stake it? No.
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 The yearly inflation in hex is always exactly 3.69% because that's a function in the contract. There is always 3.69% inflation per year. It's calculated on a daily basis, so the actual math is 3.69% divided by 365. If you read the math, the code, and it's calculated daily. The fact that DOA is only holding liquid and not staking just makes it so that your APY is higher than those 3.69%. It's your API that gets affected. It's not the total inflation in the system. Because if only 10% of the stakers stake, they're getting those 3.69% times 10 to get it, how to say it, this I'm missing the word here, to spread it out, to spread it out among those 10%.
Yeah.
Basically you're getting it times 10. Does that, I hope that makes it clear, but it's basically what the chart is showing, what we showed earlier. Can you bring it up again real quick so people, the white one, at the bottom, yeah, exactly that one. Just look at that chart, and then you see if you are at 10% staked, you're getting an APY of 36.9%. But if 50% of people would stake, your APY, your return on investment, is 7.38% per year. It's basically a way to regulate the APY. The system is self-regulating in that sense.
Yeah.
The more people stake, the more the inflation is redistributed. The more people stake, the less APY you get over time.
Right.
But this is like years and years out. You have to see this as a long-term distribution
Of
of
inflation.
coins and inflation among the users. Basically, every user that is minting inflation right now is redistributing it to new users. And he's giving up his value for that once he sells it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because once you no longer hold it, that's it. You're done. Right? Because you would then have to reacquire it. Like there's no way around it, and you would have to stake it.
And what
So
you're giving up is purchasing power.
right, because if you're not staked, those that are staked are earning that interest that you're foregoing. Right, because that's what's actually happening. There's a delta in the system there, right? Because your quantity, right, your quantity of hex and your nominal fiat value, they stay constant or stagnate with the USD value as far as the uh, nominal value is concerned. But but the reality is that the system is still paying you every day, right? But the question is, how much is the system paying you? And that's a function of how many T shares you own, how many shares you own, right? Because that's how the system is designed to work. It's designed to revolve around how much you've staked into the system. And that's how the system is designed to pay the staker class. So if you're not staked, right, you can't be a part of the team that gets paid out by the system, and you're going to be left behind with your regular balance, right? You're not gonna increase your coins, right? So it's not gonna be like you've actually put anything into the ground for it to grow, so you can then pluck something to eat when it's ready, right? Like you're not gonna be receiving anything for your time. You're just gonna be, whatever the P&L does, and that's it. And that defeats the purpose. This is a contract where the whole point of it is to stake it and collect your yield later, right? And that's what you want to be able to do with no hassle, no intermediaries, no promises, no none of that. You just want to get paid, and that's it, right? And this is what Hex allows to happen, and you can decide when you get paid. And it turns out that given the fact that people are deferring their inflation to the future, it's allowing for two things. It's allowing for the system to reprice itself quicker, right? Because what it's doing is right now, all those coins are being burnt, right? Those coins aren't sitting in anybody's wallets. Um, all those coins are either staked or they're not, right? And they're just sitting in somebody's wallet. So the fact that you have 10% of the circulating, so or of the total supply staked, right? And then another 17 just disappeared, right? That's essentially 27% of the supply that's just gone, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to, I mean, that 17% is clearly never going to be seen again, right? And now taking the OA into account, that's a faction that doesn't even go into the equation because they're what, 13% of the staking float. That's it, 13%. Every other coin is people in the system, so that's 87% of the staked coins. That's us, the staker class. It's not even the OA. So in essence, we're determining what that is paying out. The OA is doing us the favor of not staking. You see, because if he stakes the OA, the entity, then that
In a big
APY is,
manner. He has a few stakes. It's
oh,
not
for
like
sure.
it's
That's why
yeah,
I
it's
said it's
just a tiny
13%.
amount though.
The
Yeah.
OA is 13% of the stake supply. That's the number. The last I checked. So if that number increases, the APY is going to drop. The T-share count is going to go up. This inflation number might even decrease over time, right? Because the system is then going to be destined to pay out a little less because there's going to be less to pay out based on who's staking short term at that point, right? Because the stakes that are already in the system are already in the system and they're going to come out whenever they're going to come out in the future. Only the stakes from the point at which the OA would stake and then forward in time would count as far as that value would go. Value having effect because that's the only time it could matter, right? Because the OA would then cause a drag in the T shares, assuming it's a sizable stake anyway. You know, I mean, this is a
I got
hypothetical.
a slogan for you, Wales.
So
When you stake, you're parking your purchasing power. PPP.
that is true.
Let's go.
That's true, right? Because the system is going to pay you in
Put
the
it on a
future.
t-shirt.
Somebody,
Hex,
somebody text Motley.
Somebody do it.
Hex merch. Let's go.
Somebody send Hex Merch an email. Let's get this done. I had an idea the other day too. I forgot.
Hex
I gotta reach out to
parking
Motley.
purchasing power since 2020.
Yeah, it's true, right? Because what we're doing is we're allowing the system to gain the value for us over time, right? And deferring that inflation into the future is going to allow the system to accrue value by those coming into the system also doing the same. And time is going to take care of the value accretion because more people are going to keep joining because the system is just doing what it's designed to do, right? This is why understanding the fact that it's a bonding curve design token is so important because as long as T shares are being minted and Hex are being minted in that order, this system is going to continue to perform because that's what it's designed to do. That's it.
Yep.
And that's why when I realized that it was that simple, I started using that doorway analogy because all you really have to do is cut that doorway in half diagonal Once you look at it like that, you understand that it's just designed to make this line that's always going in one direction. And that's what the t-shirt rate is.
The t-shirt needs to say, ask me about my big PPP on the back.
Big PPP. My big prolonged purchasing power. Yeah, this is crazy, man. Because it's true, right? I mean, look at this. This is like saying, yo, there's all this value to pick up right now.
Yeah, you want
because
it?
because it's in the future. Because it's in the future, so the system isn't charging you for it now. The system is only charging you for this because it's not printing that. It's only printing this. And you got to remember, this is an inflationary system, right? It's designed to operate based on what is actually printing. And that's how the value accrues over time. That's why when you look at the t-share rate, it's literally a function of what the system is recalibrating in terms of ROI. If it wouldn't be for that, then the t-share rate would always be flat. But it's not. And it's because of that. So, yeah. I mean, this is cool, right? Because we can see what the system is actually paying us in real time. You can't really see that anywhere else, right? I mean, they just make the claim, you can't really see it, right? We have statistical evidence from the blockchain letting us know this is what the true inflation from the system is right now. And this is the deferred inflation. I guess that's the way to label it. Deferred inflation, not inflation value. Because that's future inflation, really.
That's more clear.
Yeah. So,
and there is another positive side, or not positive side effect. How can I say this? There is another recourse action. How do you say that? If something is doing something else.
second order effect.
Okay, that sounds nice. There is a second order effect of inflation, and that's the OA is slowly phased out.
Oh, right.
The same way that Satoshi's coins and Bitcoin, in the very beginning, in the first year or so, he printed 1 million? Was it 1 million Bitcoins? And he was the only guy who printed the inflation basically in the system.
Yeah. And then over time, he became smaller and smaller and smaller.
His size of the bag to the total amount of Bitcoins becomes smaller and smaller. And the same thing will happen over time with DOA. It will be less and less and less important over time.
100%. 100%. 100%. I just had to highlight it because I thought that was funny.
Okay, so Dan F is coming back about the comment earlier. My observation is that inflation circulating supply is bigger than inflation total. Oh, sorry, that's divided by inflation divided by circulating supply is bigger than inflation divided by total supply. So the effective inflation as the market sees it is greater than 3.69. Maybe I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
No. I'm telling you, the actual minted supply, the minted inflation is always 3.69%. It's in the code. It can't be higher.
Yeah, can't be. Cannot be.
And this should also be in the audit. In the audit, this should also be noted.
You can't use
because that's one of the things that needs to be
in
tested.
the equation. You need to use total supply. So the first one, your point that inflation divided by circulating supply is bigger. Yeah, of course it is, but it's not the right equation to use because you need to have the total supply because that's where the inflation is calculated from. The 3.69 is always
maybe. I think I get his point. Tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but what you're saying is that we should only use circulating supply because you want to exclude DOA from the actual supply. I think that's what he
No, but
is
that
alluding to.
doesn't make any sense. You want to calculate what the inflation is of the system, not what the inflation is of the circulating supply. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Why
so
would why
circulating
would you do that?
the circulating supply is a piece of the total supply. So by
Yeah.
default, the first value is going to be higher. But the fact is that the market doesn't view it as a function of circulating supply. It views it
Mhm.
as a function of total supply. So I think that's what you're missing, because the effective inflation is what you're looking at on the screen. It's what the market actually prints. It's not what the system is designed to print. And that's why we went over this, because I honestly never gave it a second thought. So it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, the more inflation that's printed, the bigger the price pump you're going to ultimately get. So kind of like with Bitcoin, right? And that's the thing. Um, you can't see what's actually going to come out, because that's a function of what people are actually going to decide to end stake with. We don't really actually know, right? Because we don't know until somebody actually ends the stake and leaves it there. And then
Oh,
there's this,
emergency hand stakes.
or emergency end stakes, right? So this is what the system is actually showing us. So this has to be the effective rate, because just like when you're calculating your tax rate for what do you call it? Just like you're calculating a tax rate for your long term capital gains tax versus your short term, right? That blended rate is your effective tax rate, which is the real actual tax rate that you're going to pay. So this would be the effective tax, the effective inflation rate here, because this is what the system is actually printing out, right? This is what the system is actually generating to cause the increase in the value of the system. So what you saw here was a big pump in the value of the system, right? And let's see, this is day 445.
Do
Let's
you want me to look it up on go.hex?
no, that's cool, because it should be like here, because that was day. Oh wait, am I thinking? Yeah. 445. So 445 minus 700 is going to be two something. So yeah, it should be something around here. Let me just make sure. 445. Yeah, not a surprise. Right? This is 440 right here. And this is like 445 right here. So after that big inflationary pump, it's not a surprise that price just went parabolic, right? Because that's what the chart is showing us all the way back here, right? And that's what price did. It just pumped.
There are a few of those. Can you go back, please?
Hmm.
Actually, can you have this chart on the other one? That would be nice.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can
But
do that.
so because it's this one is logarithmic. So there are a few like bumps I can see, and it gets a little bit muddy at the very end. But the first two big ones, and then before it goes
Nah, I don't think I'll be able
up,
to
what is
add
it?
this one.
Day 400? No, sorry, 395. There is also a big jump. Would be interesting to see what happened with the price. Oh no, can you get the price into this one? How about that?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Actually, I'm gonna get the price into that one instead of the other way
Yeah,
around.
but you don't have to do it now. Maybe for another
Oh,
time.
it'll
That's
take a couple
fine.
of minutes. It's not gonna take
Yeah.
long.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take long because I already have the data. I just gotta add it.
You know what,
It's
Markable, you take the show. I'm gonna feed the cat real quick because it's getting late.
Markable's away too, so it's all good.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, you go ahead, do what you gotta do, bro. Don't worry about it. Take care of the crowd.
Otherwise, he's gonna cry here. And I'm getting late. It's really,
Take care, brother. Take
really
care of
annoying.
the so-called family. Um, but it's kind of cool, right? Because you can see price doing this thing in real time, and there's no guessing anymore when you can see that, and it removes all the guessing, right? Like I don't like to guess. So this is why I do all this crazy ass math and shit. Let me think. Going backwards to 360. And we are in day 700. So that's 188. 365. Let me think. 636. All right. Yeah. Give me a second, guys. I'm just getting this lined up here. Think I'm about done. Yeah, let me fix this scale. Because this thing is not on its own scale. So yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to see what the system is actually generating in terms of inflation in real time. Because what this is now letting us know is how deep, how undervalued the system actually is in terms of the inflation that it's actually generating, right? Because that's kind of the cool thing that you want to be able to see. You want to be able to see, like, what is the system actually doing? Because it's not always straightforward. Because we can hear, right? But it's important to actually know what the system is doing exactly. And this was like the whole point of going through all of these charts and looking at all of this data. Give me a second because I'm pretty much done with this here chart. Just trying to line it up. All right, this is pretty cool. Let me just zoom this in, calibrate that. And I'm sorry if you're chatting, but I can't really see it because I'm doing two things at once here. All right, so here are the inflationary bumps, right? Which coincide with price down moves at the time, which makes sense because first it has to hit the market, then it has to get priced in, right? It's like I say all the time, the inflation has to be priced in. It's a value transition. It's a value transfer mechanism, right? All markets are a value transfer mechanism. What? Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't. Yeah, I'm not muted, so might just be you, bro. Um, but yeah. So we can see the system pushing that inflation out in real time, right? Damn, is my math right? Hold on. Let me make sure that I got the right amount of days here. Give me a second, guys. Just need to make sure. Come on, man. Come on. All right, hold on, guys, 'cause this is not working. Because this damn ribbon thing. All right, let's see. Because of that ribbon thing. Give me a second, guys. Just gonna make sure I get the correct value for the number for the hex chart. So make sure everything lines up correctly. Give me a second. Give me a second. Almost there. And come on. Done. 43.24. Okay. All right. Almost there. 43.24. I was only off by 4. Not bad. Okay. There we go. All right. So yeah. You know what? This is still off, but it's okay. Because this is forward inflation, right? So the data should be off. Ah, come on. account, and then they can do what they have to do. Sorry guys, I just deal with morons, man. I work all day. Like, it's fucking incredible. Anyways, so anyway, yeah, this is a little off. Hold on, man. Let me think real quick, because I'm just trying to do this in real time. So yeah, this should be off by about 40 days. No, 24. There you go. That makes sense. Yeah. So you got your first inflationary pump here, second one there, and of course the market's going to have to recalibrate and reprice because all that inflation is now disappearing because it's getting swallowed up by the people in the market. And the people
Can you
in
hear
the
me
market,
again?
yeah, and the
Okay,
people,
sorry, my microphone dropped out.
oh, no worries. And the people in the market, so I did it, fixed it to where we can now see the price correctly on the chart. And as you can see, the inflationary pumps here coincide with the big pump that comes after. And you know, the market is just doing this the whole time, right? And that inflation is there, right? And it's being printed the whole time. And it's, you know, it's just crazy, right? Because you wouldn't think that it works like Bitcoin, but it does. But it just does it better. You know, so it's cool like that. It's cool like that.
I don't know if you cannot see it because it's not logarithmic, but at the end I would expect that I would have expected that if there is a increase in inflation that the price would actually go down every time, because I would assume that some of them would sell.
So the thing is what's happening when inflation is being minted. The system is capturing that value. So this is why it goes down in price, right? So once it's done going down in price, right? Like you see inflation coming out, inflation coming. Matter of fact, I got another chart here that I don't always show. Where is it?
That's a lot of charts.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I deleted it. Really? I deleted it? Why would I delete that? Ah, here it is. Okay. So here's another version of that chart. This is the literal minted inflation coming out every single day. So though this is that big operation that you're seeing in that chart down there.
Yeah.
Right? This is that. Right? And that one is that. And that's all it is. So now the market is absorbing that. Right? And once it absorbs it, that's like inflation being redistributed back again. And it's going to get restaked out. And that is going to cause dearth in supply. So that is why you now see this type of price movement.
That's actually quite a lot as well.
Hmm?
Like so I see two possible outcomes for that giant spike. So either whoever wait isn't that the guy with like millions that just restaked for another year or so? Isn't that guy? There was I remember there was a giant stake coming out. So I would have thought that either someone minted a lot of hex where the stake ended and then he just restaked it for a time, or somebody minted hex, tried to sell it on market, but another giant buyer came in and just absorbed it. So those two options are the ones that I see. And I'm thinking that this giant one is the super whale that had like a giant super stake ending, and then he pushed it out another 6 months or so. But I'm not sure if that was really that time. Oh wait, 116. So from when are you counting?
So this is going back. This is going back to like right post big payday. Because if you go back any further, it's gonna be too ridiculous to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
So 470 roughly. 470 from the day 380.
Because that's the number of days per post big. What do you call it? Big payday. 350 days. So that's what it should be. 350 days.
Yeah. Okay, then the big spike is at like 460, 470 maybe. 100 days after, yeah, that should have been a giant stake that ended. That came out.
Yeah.
That must have
Whatever.
been. It must have
Whatever it
been a
was.
giant
Yeah.
stake. But that money that HEX either didn't make it to market or it was fully absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that's the whole point.
once people saw and realized that the massive amount of deflation that could have been on the market didn't hit and didn't bring the price down, there was no other supply to buy. There was nothing to purchase. So it went up.
Right. Simple. Because here's the thing: this value doesn't exist if it doesn't hit the market. That's important for people to understand. This is
Yeah.
because it's minted inflation, meaning it didn't get restaked at that point in time. If it got restaked 2-3 days later, fine, but it had to hit the market first. So is that,
It had to hit the supply, not the market.
yeah, supply.
Yeah.
Right. Let me format this again. And that is,
Yeah, Unka will in chat. Spike is not BPD. That's why I asked about the days.
yeah,
So,
it was only big
yeah,
payday was 81 billion coins. That was only 900 billion.
that's way off the chart. That would
Yeah,
be
900 million.
giant spike.
Yeah. So big
That's
payday
and
was
then
81 billion,
you
and this
wouldn't
one
be
was
able to
900
see
billion.
this one. Yeah, this one
Yeah,
is tiny in comparison to the BPD.
correct. Exactly. So that's exactly why I removed it from the chart. But this is pretty much it, man. I mean, this is another interesting way to look at how the system is designed to just price itself higher, right? And in doing so, the staker class is giving itself even more value, which is interesting because by deferring inflation, you're causing price to essentially go up or higher faster. And that's how you're protecting your purchasing power over time because you're deferring that velocity, right? Because you slow that velocity of money down. And that's pretty much it, boys. Not much more from me.
Renup is asking, if I needed to stake 5K for 1 year, what would you suggest as an end date for max depending on other stakes in the next 365 days? So you can actually check that yourself on HEX.VISION.
Yeah, I mean, you make your own determination
And
on when you end your stakes, bro.
there are multiple ways to do that. And you can see when other people are end staking or when there are bigger spikes of end stakes. And then you decide on what feels good to you, what makes sense to you. Maybe it's close to a date that you like.
Yeah, you go to HEX.VISION and you can check out a year out and see. But that's about it. And this is how you would go about doing that.
Yeah, just scroll down. There it is at the bottom.
Then you go about adjusting the range.
You can just drag it with the mouse.
sometimes that just doesn't work for me, so I just do this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe I should do 18 months instead of just 1 year. Let's do 16 months. There you go. There you go.
So what's the end? 2023 February.
So this is a year from now, basically.
Yeah.
So that's a year from now.
I'm kind of lost. Which spike is the yearly ending? So I assume the one on the right should be December. Yeah, December 2022. That's the 1 year. And where is the other one?
This is December 1st, 2022.
Yeah,
But he's
this
talking
is
about
year
a year
three.
from now.
Where is year two? The big spike. There should be
Oh, it's
one
over
for
here.
2000. Where is it on the? No, that's 2021. Where is
Yeah.
December 2021?
It should be
Oh,
here.
oh, it is that one?
Yeah,
No.
it's right here. These two. That's it.
Okay. Oh, then that's what is that? June? No, May. Okay, so there's one big one in May 2022.
And
And
then
then
these
1 year. So
July and December.
you'd want it to end just before those big two, the one where Wales has his mouse out right now, if you want to be more efficient. But then, do you really want to sell all of it?
Yeah, it depends what you want. That's why I say that decision is up to that person. I try to never really get involved with those kind of
Yeah.
decisions because, you know, uh, we see what price of hex can do. It's a decision when you're selling that hex. So
You need to make the decision for yourself, but this is a tool that can help you
yeah,
to
exactly.
show you what other people are doing, how they are
Doing
staked.
right. I'll throw this in the chat. Maybe you can use that or something. I don't know if it'll work or not. But yeah, it's pretty much it, man. Very straightforward stuff. And so I wanted to go over this real quick. Give me a second, because I just wanted to highlight how they're packing credit into people's pockets, but not income. Right? People don't realize this. So let me show you guys. This is. I'm sure most people just do not realize this. Um, and this is one of those
What?
things. What's up?
Skagos says, I'm afraid of buying the dip. I'm afraid if I buy now that my coins won't get a copy over to Pulse Chain. The fork date has not been announced, and it's unlikely that it's going to be a past date, because you have to imagine that once the code for Pulse Chain is done, you want it to be somewhat close to release the actual fork date, the announcement, and then the release. You want it rather close together, so you're not fucking over all the people that have stakes ending in that time. If you announce the date right now, but then release Pulse Chain in, let's say, at the end of the year, 31st December. Let's say this as a random date. That means there is 2 months of people whose stakes has ended and they couldn't mint them. They would just bleed out. That would be really bad for the system. And I highly doubt that Richard or any of the Pulse developers would do that kind of thing to the community, to forcefully let stakes bleed out. That doesn't make any sense to me. I wouldn't do it personally.
Yeah, I doubt that. So if you're worried about that, then you probably shouldn't be buying anything in the first place. So yeah, I don't know, because hex doesn't change regardless of where it sits. So anyway, you look at this. The red line is the credit, and the blue line is the real personal income. And what you need to realize is that they're both sitting on the same scale. So the fact that the red line is higher than the blue line all accounting for the same population growth during the whole same period of time in the same country with the same people should tell you something. Should tell you a whole lot. Consistently. This is what economic reality is all about. This is why there is nowhere left to go. This is why you stake, because you don't want to be a statistic. You don't want to be on this chart. This is why you stake. If you don't stake, you're on this chart, because you're going to have to utilize tools that you don't want to utilize in order to succeed financially. So we went over this chart, guys. But that's pretty much all I got. Thank you guys for joining. I don't know if you guys got anything else.
Markable is back at the right time.
I'm back right in time to say outro. That's cool. Nice. Outro?
Yeah, that's been nice. Goodbye.
This is Wales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics.